Good evening, everyone. Shana Tova. Happy New Year to all of you. What a blessing to be here this evening with each and every one of you here in the sanctuary, as well as those of you who are joining us via live stream. Rabbi Matt Berger. I'm joined on the bima with our cantorial soloist, Allison Rosoff, our wonderful High Holy Day Choir, led by Corey Short, and down at the piano with a beautiful white hat, Joy Katzen-Guthrie now is at the piano. If you have a phone, if you could turn it to vibrate, that would be greatly appreciated. We'll begin in our prayer book, Mishkan HaNefesh, Dwelling Place of the Soul, which has transliteration and beautiful poetry throughout on page 110. And here you'll find the words of Ma Tovu Ohalecha Yaakov. How beautiful are your tents, Jacob, your dwelling places, Yisrael. I'd like to offer a special prayer for strength following the storm of last week. God, source of life, the storm has passed. The tempest has moved on. Thank you for the kindness of neighbors and friends as we work together to clear up after the flooding. Thank you, God, for providing safety throughout the gale. Thank you for the first responders and all of the helpers who kept watch over us. Bless all who were injured with strength and healing. Provide shelter, sustenance, and comfort to everyone in need. Baruch atah Adonai, Blessed are you, our rock and our shield. You'll find right on the screen a special prayer for Israel as so many of our thoughts are turning east. Feel free to join me. O Heavenly One, protector and redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love. Spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. May you bless the soldiers of the Israel Defense Forces and all who stand guard to protect our people. Shield them from all troubles and injury. Help them secure freedom without loss of life for all those held captive by the enemy. May they have strength and courage of hearts. Turning back to page 9 in your Machzor, your High Holy Day prayer book, you'll find a poem, The Time Is Now. The time is now, we've gathered round, so bring all your gifts and bring all your burdens with you. No need to hide, arms open wide, we gather as one to make a makom kadosh, a holy place. We come to tell, we come to hear, we come to teach, to learn, we come to grow. And so we say, the time is now, sing to the one, God's presence is here. Shekhinah, you will dwell among us. We'll make this space a holy place, so separate, so whole. Rejoice every soul who enters here. My pleasure at this time to call forward to help us light the Yom Tov holiday candles, Eve Goldstein and Tara Boyle.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Yom Tov.
Source of blessing, eternal our God, you fill the universe with majestic might, teaching us holiness through sacred obligations, giving us the mitzvah of bringing light on Shabbat and this festival.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, shehekiyanu v'kiyamanu v'higianu l'zman hazeh. Source of blessing, eternal our God, you fill the universe with majestic might, giving us life, upholding the life within us, and bringing us to this time.
Keep us far from all shame, grief, and anguish. Fill our home with peace, light, and joy. Oh God,
You'll now hear the words to Psalm 121, Essa Enai, we lift our eyes toward the mountains. We'll now turn to page 15. It's my pleasure to call forward David Bernstein. He will be our Balei Tekiah, our shofar sounder. At the new moon, at the full moon, for our feast day, sound the shofar, for that is the law of Israel, the way of the God of Jacob.
Shofar, Bikir Seliom Agenu, Kihom Vishanu, Mishpat Leohei Yaakov, Leohei Yaakov.
Please rise now for the sounding of the shofar. Hallelujah, B'tekah shofar. Praise God with the blast of the shofar. Baruch atah Adonai, Shomea kol tru'a amo Yisrael barachamim. Blessed are you in our lives, Adonai. You hear with love the shofar, true voice of your people Israel. Yashikoa. Please remain standing. We'll turn now to page 16. I'll invite Steve and Carol Sussner to open the Aron Kodesh, to open the Ark for this reflection. It's called Hineni. Here I am, one soul within this prayer community. Like those around me, I bring my own concerns and yearnings to this place, hoping they'll find expression in the time-hollowed words of my people and in the traditions cherished by generations before me. Now, I bring the best of my energies to these holy days, approaching this spiritual work with open heart and mind, sincerity, and sustained focus on the deep questions of this season. Who am I? How shall I live? Where have I fallen short or failed? This night I take up the challenge of the days of awe, cheshbon hanefesh, a searching examination of my life, a moral inventory of my deeds, words, and thoughts. During the next 10 days, let me face the truth about myself and listen to your still small voice, taking comfort in your promise that I am always free to change, released from staleness and routine. Let me know the joy of beginning again. May I gain strength as I share this task with those around me, united by our common purpose. Tikkun midot, improving our characters, and tikkun olam, repairing the world. I now prepare myself to pray, one soul amidst this holy congregation. We'll turn now to page 19 for the announcement of the new year. Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu yehi ratzon shenizkeh levirchotecha b'shana chameshet alafim shmonim v'chamesh. Our God and God of our ancestors, may we know your blessings in the year 5785. Eternal One, bless us in the whole house of Israel with renewed life, happiness and peace, comfort and courage, resilience and strength. May the words of our heart be acceptable to you in the new year that stretches before us. We are forever grateful for the gift of life. Continue on page 23, a prayer for the evening. Please join me. The quickening of the moon calls us to return as we gather scene dwellers on the edge of the earth. As the sun lowers itself into the sea, introspection rises. A sliver cracks of the firmament, the vast blackness, an invitation to right ourselves anew. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. On the following page, a prayer, love for the world, avat olam. Love beyond all time and space, your love enfolds your people, Yisrael. We receive it in your teaching. your gift of Torah, sacred obligations, discipline, and law. So let us speak these teachings when we lie down and rise up, and find joy forever in your Torah and mitzvot. They are the very essence of our life, ours to ponder and study all our days. May we never lose or be unworthy of your love. Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael, for you are blessed, the one who loves your people, Yisrael. In Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Feel free to be seated. We'll continue with You Shall Love Adonai with all your mind, soul, and strength, the words of the V'ahavta on 28 and 30. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol meodecha V'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom alevavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shitecha b'veitecha uv'lechecha v'derech Uvshofecha, uvkumecha, uvshartam leot ayadecha, v'hayu letotafot bein einecha, uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha, uvisharecha, leman tizkeru, vasitem et kol mitzvotai, Yitem kedoshim lelohem, Ani Adonai Elohechem, Asher otzeiti etem me'aretz Mitzrayim, liot lachem lelohim, Ani Adonai Elohechem. Pleasure to call forward Robin Tell, who'll be leading us in the V'ahavta's translation.
You shall love Adonai your God with all your mind, with all your soul, and with all your strength. Set these words which I command you this day upon your heart. Teach them faithfully to your children. Speak of them in your home and on your way, when you lie down and when you rise up. Bind them as a sign upon your hand. Let them be a symbol before your eyes. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Be mindful of all my mitzvot and do them, lest you will become holy to your God. Adonai, I, Adonai, am your God, who brought you out of Egypt to be your God. I, Adonai, your God.
Thank you so much. We'll continue on page 33, the bottom of the page, words of truth and faith, emet ve'emunah. You have stayed long enough in this place, God said. Time to go forward. Turn your face to the future. Believe that you can cross this sea and survive. Inside you is a Moses Within you, Miriam dances, unafraid. Lift up your voice and sing a new song. On the following page, Mi Chamocha, who is like you, God?
Mi chamocha Elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, norati imo osef elei, malachutecha ra'u vanecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe, zeili anuv yamru, Adonai imo le'olam va'ed.
You'll find the Chatimah, the ending of the prayer, at the bottom of the page. Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael. We praise you, eternal power, the one who redeemed Israel. We'll now ask God for shelter and protection with the words of Hashkivenu, page 36.
Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu le'shalom, ve'hamidenu malkeinu le'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu le'shalom, ve'hamidenu malkeinu le'chaim. Ufros
My pleasure now to call forward Jay Lovered. He will be leading us in a beautiful poem, Rosh Hashanah in the Pines, written by Rabbi Hera Person, found on page 37 in your prayer books.
Rosh Hashanah in the Pines. Darkness settles slowly across the horizon. The new year rises before us, its fragile moon awaiting embrace. Heaven and earth entwine in their annual dance of recreation. A fissure appears in the firmament tonight, an entranceway into new beginnings. Out behind the swales, the sea expands and contracts, keeping time to the thrumming of the universe. Under this Rosh Hashanah sky, the path before us is uncertain. All we can do is hold each other tight as we make our way home.
Thank you so much for sharing that beautiful and meaningful poem. We'll continue now on page 40, the words of the half or Chatzi Kaddish, words and a prayer of praise.
Yitkadash Shmei Rabbah. Mi'aman divrach yirutei, v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayichon u'v'yomechon, u'v'chayit kol beit Yisrael. Bagalav Yisrael Kariv v'yimaru. Amen. Yeshua levorach, ve'olam u'me'olam, Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, v'yipa'ar, v'yiproman, v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, Shmid Kodesha, Richu.
Let's rise now for the words of the Tefillah, our standing prayers, which begin on page 42 as we ask God to open our lips and continue on even pages.
Adonai, Sirvatai Tivtach, Ufi Agita Hilatecha. Adonai, Sirvatai Tivtach, Ufi Agita Hilatecha. Open up my lips as I
prayer for holiness on page 49, Kedushat Hashem. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, kudoshim b'chol yom, yahalu chasela. You are holy, your name is holy. Seekers of holiness, praise you day by day. Selah. Feel free to be seated. We'll continue on page 59. Coming home, a portion of Torah that is ours. Once there was a prince who sailed to faraway countries. Many years passed, and at last the prince thought of coming back. For a moment he felt shame. He'd been away so long. So much time had passed since he last saw his home. Then he said to himself, I must not be ashamed to come back. After all, it is to my own ancestral property that I return. So it is with us. No matter how far we have wandered from the Torah, it remains our own possession. For Scripture says Moses charged us with this teaching as the heritage of the congregation of Jacob. Each of us has our own portion of the Torah. It belongs to us. And when we take up the study of Torah, we are coming home. Continue now with Ritzei, Eternal our God, yearning for your favor.
Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu B'Amecha Yisrael U'tefilatam B'Ahava Tikabel Tamid avodat Yisrael
Let's read together a prayer for gratitude, Hoda'ah, on page 65, a poem about faith. I want to write about faith, about the way the moon rises over cold snow night after night. Faithful even as it fades from fullness, slowly becoming that last curving and impossible sliver of light, before the final darkness. But I have no faith myself. I refuse it, even the smallest entity. Let this then, my small poem, like a new moon, slender and barely open, be the first prayer that opens me to faith. Baruch atah Adonai Tov Shimcha Ucha Na'eh Lechodot. Blessed are you, Adonai, whose goodness deserves thanks and praise. On 66, for a world badly in need of peace in so many countries, we offer Birkat Shalom. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Peace, profound and lasting, all-embracing. Peace. Let this be your gift to Israel, your people. In your goodness, author of peace, bless us and all people, every season, every hour, with the peace that is yours to give. Let us and the whole family of Israel be remembered and inscribed in the book of life. May it be a life of goodness, blessing, and prosperity. May it be a life of peace. Baruch atah Adonai Osea Shalom. You are the Blessed One, eternal source of shalom. Take these moments for our own thoughts and reflections.
Eloheinu tzor l'shoni mera, usfatai midaber mirma. Velem kalalai nafshi tidom, benafshi ke'afar l'kol ti'eh Elohai, Elohai. Elohai nitzor l'shoni mera, usfatai medaber mirma. Velem kalalai nafshi tidom, benafshi ke'afar l'kol ti'eh Elohai, Elohai. Elohai nitzor l'shoni mera, usfatai medaber mirma. Velem kalalai nafshi tidom, benafshi ke'afar l'kol ti'eh Elohai, Elohai. B'tach libi. B'tach libi. B'tach libi. Nitzor l'shoni mera, usfatai medaber mirma. Velem kalalai nafshi tidom, benafshi ke'afar l'kol ti'eh Elohai, Elohai. Elohai nitzor l'shoni mera, usfatai medaber mirma. Velem kalalai nafshi
We'll turn now to a prayer of healing. Misha B'erach, God the one who blesses those in need. You'll find these words on page 245 as we first call to mind and to heart all those in Israel, casualties of the ongoing war, for healing, as well as those in Ukraine and other war zones. To these names we add members of our community: Cesar Alvarez, Joanne Beeman Fiddleman, Yonatan Raven Ben Rivka, Charlie Burke, Tina Bruns, Kate Fagan, Harry Fleisch, Ron Frankel, Mitchell Freifeld, David Friedlander, Don Hirschman, Jim Howard, Kathy Howard, Rick Katzeff, Phyllis King, Jerry Longerich, Jonathan Marks, Tova Marks, Ken Mercero, Michael Ranzino, Stephanie Ross, Dennis Schulman, Angie Sermanis, Jeff Stark, Carrie Taylor, James Vaccarelli, and Denise Young. If there are any other names to add at this time, feel free. I'll ask all of us to rise as the ark is opened for the next part of our service. Almighty and merciful, the words of Avinu Malkeinu. Avinu Malkeinu, strong was the faith of generations before us. In exile, they proclaimed enduring hope. In the shadow of persecution, they affirmed a transcendent love and compassion. Ours is a different age, less confident and certain, more tentative in its trust. There are many who say to the works of their hands, "You are our gods," but when our worship centers on our own creations, we feel less gratitude, more doubt and despair. This is the paradox of our spiritual lives. We grow smaller in self-exaltation, nobler when we reach for you. On this night of return, let us find the humility to come close to you and open ourselves to your presence. You are absent only when we fail to make room for you in our hearts, distant only when we turn away from you. Now, as others have done before us, let us overcome doubt and speak these words of affirmation. We call you Avinu, As loving parent, forgive our wrongs and failings. Accept us in our human frailty. We call you Malkeinu. As sovereign of our souls, help us rise from our brokenness to build a world of shalom. To this vision, we offer ourselves anew. On 76, Avinu Malkeinu, Ein Lanu Melech Ela Ata, Avinu Malkeinu, Almighty and merciful, you alone are our sovereign. Avinu Malkeinu Lema'ancha Rachem Aleinu, Avinu Malkeinu, for your sake, show us mercy. Avinu Malkeinu Aseh Imanu Leman Shemecha. Avinu Malkeinu, act toward us as befits your name. Avinu Malkeinu, Shalach Refuah Shlema Lecholei Amecha. Avinu Malkeinu, bring healing and wholeness to the ill among us. Avinu Malkeinu, Kira Roa Gizar Dinenu. Avinu Malkeinu, allay the harshness of the decree against us. Avinu Malkeinu, Kodvenu V'Sefer Geula Vishua. Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us in the book of redemption and renewal. Avinu Malkeinu, Zochrenu B'Zichron Tov Lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, remember our goodness and call it to mind. Avinu Malkeinu, Aseh Lemancha V'Hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, act for your sake and save us. Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Kolenu. Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, hear our voice. Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu Lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, we have strayed and sinned before you. Avinu Malkeinu, Chamol Aleinu Ve'al Olaleinu V'Tapenu. Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion on us and our families. Avinu Malkeinu, Kalei Dever V'Chera V'Ra'av Me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, haunt the onslaught of sickness, violence, and hunger. Avinu Malkeinu, Kalei Kol Tsar Umastin Me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, halt the reign of those who cause pain and terror. Avinu Malkeinu, Kotvenu B'Sefer Chaim Tovim. Avinu Malkeinu, enter our names in the book of lives well lived. Avinu Malkeinu, Hadesh Aleinu Shana Tova. Avinu Malkeinu, renew for us a year of goodness. Avinu Malkeinu, Chonenu Vanenu, Ki Ein Banu Ma'asim, Aseh Imanu Tzedakah V'Chesed V'Hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, answer us with grace, for our deeds are wanting. Save us through acts of justice and love.
Avinu Malkeinu
free to be seated. Name, Rabinowitz. Now, wait a minute, Mr. Rabinowitz. You don't really look like you're cut out to be for this job. Are you sure you're a lumberjack? Well, yes, I am. It's just that you're such a little man. Well, let's see what you can do. Can you chop down that tree over there? Sure, he said, and in just a few minutes, Rabinowitz cried, "Timber," and the tree fell. "Not bad," he says to Rabinowitz upon his return. "Well, how about that really huge tree way over there? That one? Psh, I can cut it down in a single stroke." Well, this I gotta see. And in short order, the massive tree was felled in one go. Very impressive, Mr. Rabinowitz. Really, I do apologize for doubting your ability. I mean, you don't really look like a lumberjack, but you can sure cut trees. Say, where did you learn your trade? Well, for many years I worked in the Sahara forest. Surely you must mean the Sahara Desert. Sure. Now it's a desert. You should know that this joke has some basis in reality. While the economic opportunities open to Eastern European Jews in the late 19th to early 20th century were limited due to anti-Semitic legislation, some Jews were especially adept at certain unlikely occupations like agriculture, mining, and logging, like you'll see with this picture of Romanian Jewish loggers in a lumber yard from the 1930s. After all, everyone needs to put food on the table. So what can this little bit of humor about Rabinowitz teach us about Jews? That despite the discrimination our people have faced historically, we never lose hope as a people. Rather, we persevere and thrive over time. Some 1,500 years ago, Rabbi Yitzhak taught that everything depends on hoping. This ancient wisdom still speaks to us today. Hope is our response to challenges and trials, and hope is the heritage of Judaism. The Hebrew word for hope is tikvah. It's derived from the three-letter root, kuf vav he, which means waiting. But it can also mean binding by twisting together. See right there. Both of these definitions are highlighted in the biblical story of Rahab, who hid 2 Jewish scouts from the king of Jericho. Her heroism was crucial to the Israelite invasion of the city and secured the safety of the scouts and her family. To alert the soldiers of their presence, Rahab hung a crimson cord from her tower, a cord called tikvah, which signified hope. Halavai, if only the Jewish hostages still held captive in Gaza had a similar way to alert the IDF of their presence. While so much has changed since the time of our biblical ancestors, the heroism of the Jewish people, along with those who have helped the Jews, has remained a constant. Now, the definition of hope can differ from one person to another. Some of us might consider hope as believing good things will happen. In a spiritual sense, this might mean directing our hopes to God in prayer, while others might define hope as looking on the bright side of life. For example, seeing challenges as sacred opportunities. Merriam-Webster, the dictionary, defines hope as cherishing a desire with anticipation or wanting something to occur or be true. Both of these explanations match well with the biblical story of Rahab the scouts and the crimson cord of hope. But there's an important distinction to be made. Hope and optimism, Rabbi Michael Marmer writes, are often confused, but they're profoundly different. Optimism is a matter of personality or disposition. the belief that things will get better, while hope is a matter of faith. It's the idea that we can help make things better. Another way to look at it is optimism is passive, while hope is active. Hope is a deeply rooted Jewish practice. It begins with our faith in the possibility of change and advances when we see ourselves as agents of change. Sometimes practicing hope means putting ourselves on the line and taking a risk. It involves commitment, prayer, and most importantly, the wisdom to know when it's time to act. This past June, I received a frame print from the chaplain at St. Paul's Independent School. On 3 occasions, students from the school visited Ahavat Shalom to learn about Judaism. I always like these opportunities to share the beauty of our heritage. I'll ask our tech team to share a picture of the print. And it reminded me immediately about a story of hope. A pious man stuck on his rooftop during a flood prayed to God for help as the water rose. Soon a neighbor came by in a rowboat and shouted, "Come on in, I'll save you." The pious man shouted back, "No, it's okay, I'm praying and hoping that God will save me." So the rowboat went on. Then a motorboat came by. The fellow inside shouted, "Jump in, I'll save you." And the pious man answered, "No thanks, I'm praying and hoping that God will save me because I have faith." So the motorboat went on. Finally, a helicopter came by, and the pilot shouted, "Grab the ladder and I'll lift you to safety." The pious man answered, "No thanks, I'm praying and hoping that God will save me. I have faith." So the helicopter flew away. Soon the water rose above the rooftop and the man drowned. Entering the gates of heaven, he was furious and demanded an audience with God immediately. Then and there, he shouted, "God, I had faith and placed my hope in you, but you didn't save me. Tell me why." God replied, "I sent you a rowboat, a motorboat, and a helicopter, but you never got in. What more did you expect?" Wishful thinking is standing on a rooftop praying to be rescued, while hope is getting into the boat. You might be surprised to know that the theme of hope, tikva, is found throughout the story of Job, often thought to be the most pessimistic book in the Bible. It actually contains 24 references to hope. Notably, its frequent root letters, kuf, vav, he, stands in stark contrast to the Torah, where the root word for hope appears just once. Job, as many of you know, is a righteous and upright man whose happy life suddenly turns miserable. He experiences one catastrophe after another. His business fails, his children die, and he's afflicted with diseases. All of this, we learn, is brought about by God upon the urging of an angel called Hasatan, the adversary, a test of biblical proportions to see whether Job will lose faith after he loses everything. Understandably, Job's response wavers between despair and defiant hope. Yet, despite his ordeal, Job never curses God. At the very end of the book, out of a whirlwind, God asked Job one question after another. "Where were you when I laid the foundations of the universe? Have you commanded the morning to begin?" Job realizes that he knows very little about the mysteries of creation. Nevertheless, he provides us with a valuable insight regarding hope and the struggle to maintain it in the most difficult of circumstances, namely that hope is possible beyond despair. To quote the great Nobel laureate Elie Wiesel, and he for sure knew a great deal about suffering and hope. One of the most difficult challenges we face is accepting that many things in life are unnecessary and even downright unfair, such as last week's devastating flooding. It can make even the faithful wonder why God, a supreme intelligent being, could allow these things to happen in the first place. 2,500 years ago, Job confronted God and asked, "Why am I suffering?" He never received an answer, and we still ask this question to this day. Rabbi Harold Kushner, author of When Bad Things Happen to Good People, writes, "Like Job, I have met God in the sunshine, but more often in shadows, not in the elegant perfection of the world, but in the resilience of the human soul, the ability of people to find even a pain-filled life worth living. And I've been sustained by the message that the Holy One has not abandoned God's world." A personal story. Growing up in Western Massachusetts, I learned to love the Boston Red Sox at a very early age. It was really part of my heritage as a New Englander. Back then, when I was a kid, the Red Sox were well on their way to an 86-year drought in terms of winning the World Series, but I had faith, even though the taunting by Yankees fans about the curse of the Bambino, which I never believed in anyway, was hard to take. In 1986, the year I became a bar mitzvah, the Red Sox made it to the series but lost in ignominious fashion, in part due to a little dribbler down the first base line that led to a game-losing error. In a word, my faith and hope were rewarded with heartbreak. It took an additional 18 years, the same number as high, meaning life, for the Red Sox to win it all, but it was well worth the wait. I'll ask our tech team, well, you beat me to the punch there, to show a picture of them celebrating. And the fact that it included a 4-game sweep of the Yankees after the team was down to their final out, down 3-0, was just icing on the cake. For as the poet Alexander Pope declares, hope springs eternal. Sometimes we hold on to hope by a thread. Other times we grasp it like a strong cord. In 1878, 70 years before the state of Israel was established, a Jewish poet from Galicia named Naphtali Hertz Imber captured the importance of hope in a poem called Tikvatenu, our hope. I'll ask our tech team to show the handwritten Hebrew text. Tikvatenu, our hope, expressed his aspiration to return to the land of our ancestors, which he realized 5 years later. Moreover, it shared his deep understanding of the powerful reservoir of Jewish hope, one that ennobles the desires we pursue and fortifies our response to the challenges we face. Ultimately, the words of Israel's national anthem, Hatikvah, the hope, were adapted from this poem. I'll read the poem, Hatikvah, first and last stanza. Kol od balevav penima nefesh Yehudi homia. As long as in the heart within the Jewish soul yearns, and toward the eastern edges, onward an eye gazes toward Zion. Our hope is not yet lost. The ancient hope to return to the land of our ancestors, the city where David encamped. In his memoirs, Elie Wiesel shared a poignant story about hope that took place during one of the darkest nights in Auschwitz. It was Simchat Torah, the festival of rejoicing and dancing with the scrolls. In the camps, though, it was gloomy. There were no Torahs to dance around. So an older man walked to a young boy and said, "Do you know the Shema?" The boy answered, "I know the Shema, and even more than that." The man said, "The Shema is enough." Then he called out to the rest, "Come, Jews, it's Simchat Torah time to dance and sing." And the old man lifted the boy as the Torah is lifted, and the people danced around the man and his Torah. They sang and wept. Thus, even in the camps, our people celebrated the holiday because their hope of being a free people was never extinguished. So it is with us. Since October 7th, which also fell on Simchat Torah, Jews in Israel and throughout the world have experienced a heartbreaking year. Reading the news, it can be quite difficult to maintain a sense of optimism in the face of so much anti-Semitism, hate, and vitriol in campus protests and online. This type of Jew baiting is tough to take emotionally, and it's difficult to experience collectively as a Jewish community. Yet even during times when our hope seems hanging by a thread, we can never lose our faith in it. We must persevere and still thrive because hope is the heritage of Judaism. Throughout our history as a people, one of the most important currencies of hope has been humor. From the time of Sarah, our matriarch, who laughed when God told her she'd have a child at 90, to the Shlemiels and Shlemazels of Yiddish tales, to the comedic genius of Mel Brooks, laughter has always been some of the best medicine to keep hope alive. It's always a special moment when we laugh. It's why I begin many of my sermons with humor, because experiencing humor together satisfies a deep human longing and lets us know that we're alike enough to live together in this community. But perhaps most of all, hope, when coupled with humor, allows us to look at the world and audaciously say, the realities of today won't define tomorrow. So as I like to say, smile and the world smiles with you. Every year as summer fades, we experience this wonderful season of Jewish holy days, a time to look inward, recognize the good in our lives, see where we've missed the mark, and strive to do better, a process of renewal and hope called teshuvah. All of us experience challenges in our lives, our own version of Job's struggle. Just as our people will continue to face individuals and groups who speak and act against Israel and the Jews. But remember this, while we might not individually have the physical strength of Rabinowitz, who felled the Sahara forest, we are blessed with resilience, humor, and a heritage of hope. Shana Tova. We'll continue now with the festival Kiddush. If you turn to page 79, you'll find these words as we share our blessing for the fruit of the vine.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri agafen Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'am v'ramemanu mikol ochon v'kidishanu b'mitzvotav v'titein lanu Adonai Eloheinu me'ava et yom hasikaron osei yom teruah mikra kodesh zecher tziat mitzrayim kivanu v'charta v'yotanu kidashta mi
life, to life. We'll continue now on page 82 with the words of Aleinu, the adoration. Pleasure to call forward Bill and Linda Ross to open the ark, and I'll ask all of us to rise. Feel free to be seated. Let's continue with a reading on page 88 called Effortless Affection. All last requests are granted, and this is mine. Grasp my affection in your hand and hold it there. Gather my affection into your heart and store it there. Draw my affection in simple lines in your mind and foster it, further it, funnel it into all the coastal plains and lowlands where daily life and memory flow together. Let the river of affection rise and overflow. Let the grasses in the meadow near the river bend in the current where my love has flooded your land. You'll find the words to Mourner's Kaddish on page 90 as we call to mind and heart families in the period of Shloshim, the first 30 days, mourning their loved ones. We think of families in Israel and Ukraine who have lost loved ones during those conflicts. Closer to home, we fondly remember Norman Fiddleman, nephew of Richard Fiddleman. Sanford Sonny Sadler, father of Barry Sadler. Maya Lazarus, friend of Paula Rosoff. Eileen Klein, no relation to Rabbi Gary Klein, wife of Alan Klein. Sherry Greenberger Baker, cousin of Ellen Kessler and Robin Taylor, and Ron Finkel, friend of Esther Klein. We also mark the yard site anniversary of passing of loved ones. This evening we remember Alan Allman, Cherry Bierhoff, Gussie Bohm, Shirley Sharon, Adele Sharon, Marcus DePrima, Henry Dreyfus, Sophie Elias, Augusta Ferreira, Anna Finkel, Toby Golger, Max Parker Greenberg, Irene Grubman, Ida Fine Halpern, Lillian Harris, Leonard Kent, Larry Kent, Michael J. Lertzman, Seymour Mines, David Nemso, Ephraim Rivlin, Ruth Shabgir, Francis Shapiro, Oscar Schiffman, Gerald Slavny, Donald Stein, Saul Stone, Mary R. Walsh, Frank Weiner, and Mildred Zielinski. Are there any other names to add for Yahrzeit? We say Zichronam Livracha. May the memories of all of these good people continue to be a blessing in their loved ones' lives as we rise to offer the words of praise of Mourner's Kaddish. Yit Kadal v'Yit Kadal Shemei Rabbah, Bialma divra kirute v'amlich malchute. V'chayechonu v'yomechonu v'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael. V'agalav v'isman kariv v'imru.
Amen.
Yehei shmei rabba mevarach le'alam u'lamei al-maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal. Shemei dekudesha b'richu. Le'elo u'ela mikol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechelata. Ta'amiran v'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav huya aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the one who causes peace in the heavens cause peace to descend on us, Israel, throughout the world, as we say amen.
V'imiru, 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 amen. V'imiru, 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 amen.
Feel free to be seated. My pleasure now to call forward our immediate past president, Ed Marks, who will be sharing some Yom Tov announcements.
Many thanks, of course, to Rabbi Matt, Allison, Joy, and our High Holy Day Choir for leading a wonderful service, along with our tech team, our greeters, our ushers, and Mike Abdishi on sound. Tomorrow's Rosh Hashanah morning service begins at 10 o'clock in the sanctuary. In the children's library, our kids service begins at 10 a.m. and our youth service begins at 11 a.m. Following the morning service, we will enjoy an oneg. Refreshments will be sponsored by the Sisterhood, and then Rabbi Matt will lead a tashlik ceremony at Lake Sandra Park, 1250 Palm Avenue in Dunedin. Our reverse tashlik social action cleanup will take place this Sunday, October 6th at 11:30. We'll caravan from the temple to Cliff Stevens Park in Clearwater. Please RSVP for a Yom Kippur Break the Fast, which is sponsored by the Sisterhood, and support the Gulf Coast Jewish Family and Children's Services food drive. There's a collection box in the foyer noting the items that are needed. Gulf Coast is also collecting cash contributions to help those who were devastated by the flood. Shana Tovai.
Thank you so much, Ed. Time for the Motzi. Any teenagers, young adults who'd like to come up, join Allison, myself in the choir? My son's coming up. Yeah. Our round challah for the new year, season of renewal. Motzi lechem min haaretz, we give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Motzi lechem min haaretz. Stay alone, enjoy. You just wanted to make sure it was grape juice. All right, let's rise for the closing words of our service, our benediction. Words found on page 99 should be on the screen as well. Yehi ratzon milfanecha Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu shet chadesh aleinu shana tova u'mituka Our God and God of our ancestors, eternal God of all generations, may your presence in our lives this new year renew our spirits and renew our strength. May it be a good year. May it be a sweet year. Shana Tova, one and all, thank you so much for being here. Hope to see you tomorrow morning for Rosh Hashanah, day 1.